43 years ago next month, as a student up on the Rock, I had my car turned over, destroyed, and put in jail, thinking that I wanted to leave this university and find some place where I could be educated. 43 years later, I stand before you as chair of the board. Ferris State means a lot to me. There's more to education than taking a test, reading a book. It's learning how to interact with different people and different cultures. And as this country continues to struggle with race and inclusiveness, we have an opportunity to lead the country in a discussion on race and be more inclusive ourselves at this university.
Today is a day for both joy and deep reflection. For years, we have sought to create a facility that would make the exhibits in the Jim Crow Museum more accessible to the public. This is a museum that uses objects of intolerance to teach understanding and promote social justice. Today, that dream is a reality, and I thank you for joining us for this celebration. Confronting the objects themselves is a sobering and moving experience. The range and volume of material and the knowledge that hateful things continue to be produced is difficult to comprehend. This museum can inspire us to do better. The philosopher and poet, George Santayana, famously said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." The Jim Crow Museum experience provides that ability to remember. Indeed, the Jim Crow Museum experience is unforgettable. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. David Pilgrim. In 2007, I tapped Dr. Pilgrim to lead our university's diversity efforts, and his leadership has helped transform Ferris State University. Today he serves as Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion and is an indispensable member of our leadership team. It's his collection of racist memorabilia, which he donated to the university, and perhaps more importantly, his vision of what these artifacts could help become, which formed the basis for the Jim Crow Museum. In his remarkable essay, The Garbage Man, Why I Collect Racist Objects, Dr. Pilgrim writes, "I collect this garbage because I believe, and I know to be true, that items of intolerance can be used to teach tolerance." Today's opening of a public facility that allows the objects he has collected to tell their stories is, I believe, proof that he is indeed right. In his essay, he recalls buying his first racist object when he was still very young. He bought it so he could break it. Later, he realized it is far more difficult, but ultimately more valuable, to face the truth embodied in such terrible things and to use that truth to try to make the world a better place. His vision of an education that's accessible for all and a university committed to making the world a better place echo the words of our founder, Woodbridge Ferris, and are at the core of who we are and what we do at Ferris State University. David holds a doctorate in sociology from Ohio State University. His work in the classroom earned him distinction as a recipient of our Distinguished Teacher Award. He continues his teaching today through his writing, speaking engagements, and of course, through the Jim Crow Museum. Written on the wall as you enter the Jim Crow Museum is what has been one of David's goals: to create a room that when people come into that room, it changes the way they talk about race. When you view the expanded Jim Crow Museum, you will know that today, as his vision becomes a reality, that he has indeed succeeded and in fact far surpassed this. This is truly a moment he has worked his entire life to realize.
Because of my work with the Jim Crow Museum, I am blessed to receive opportunities to deliver lectures across the country. And no matter where I go, I hear two questions. The first one is, where is Ferris State University? Thanks to the Ferris hockey team, I probably won't hear that question as often. In the past, when I was asked the question, I reached into my pocket, pulled out a card, and read, Ferris State University is in Big Rapids, Michigan, which is 2,345 miles east of San Francisco, 34 hours by car, 810 miles west of Harlem, New York, 13 hours by car, 1,550 miles north of Miami, Florida, 25 hours by car, and 6 miles south of Paris, Michigan, 10 minutes by car. The other question I am asked is, why is the Jim Crow Museum at Ferris? Implicit in the question is the belief that the museum should be someplace else. Tuskegee Institute, Wayne State University, Michigan State University, or that school in Ann Arbor. The truth is this, and nothing more. The museum is where it should be, and it is at Ferris because it was possible here. And I'm proud of my university. It's a weird thing to clap when people cry. Yeah, the over and under on how long it would take me to cry was 3 minutes. There are trustee boards that would not have approved this project. The Jim Crow Museum is unapologetically a diversity-related initiative. And truth be told, on too many college campuses, major diversity initiatives are not funded because they are not seen as priorities. This is sad and unfortunate. The Ferris Board of Trustees, under the leadership of Board Chair Ron Sneed, recognized that building this museum would be tangible evidence of the university's commitment to diversity. Across this country, there are campus administrations that would not have approved this project. They would have been paralyzed, stuck, fearful of blowback, pushback, and controversy. You have to take risks in this life. The President's Council, under the leadership of President Eisler, took this chance, believing that the museum is an unparalleled teaching tool, consistent with our strategy of eyes-on, hands-on education. I wanted to build a museum that changed the way people talk about race, a space where people were free to talk, challenged to talk, and wanted to talk. A place where they learned that history is not something that we need to fear. That was the vision. But a vision without help is just a private fantasy. I needed help and I received it. To quote the Beatles, "Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends." The philosopher George Santayana said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Our problem is not that we cannot remember the past. Our problem is that we choose not to remember, especially the parts that are unpleasant. True it is that Americans like happy history. Well, one part of being a mature nation is being willing to learn from all of history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I hasten to add that the past rarely stays in the past. The old attitudes, tastes, and values routinely morph into the present. This explains in part the t-shirts, postcards, drinking mugs, and other objects that portray President Obama in racially stereotypical ways. It is certainly the case that reasonable people can disagree with the president's policies, but to express that disagreement with objects that portray him as a Tom, shining shoes, a wide-eyed witch doctor, or worse, a crazed monkey, is not simply in bad taste, it is racist. Though it makes many of us uncomfortable to admit, race still matters in the United States. Go to the comments section under a story about the killing of Trayvon Martin. Read those comments and you will see that race still matters. Travel to the poor sections of any city in the United States and you will see that race still matters.